Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday live stream. So, wherever you are, you're very, very welcome as we go through the next 60 minutes looking at some of the big issues. And as always, we are now broadcasting to the known universe. Apart from, I think, Facebook, I decided not to put this one on Facebook because I can't stand Facebook. So anyway, hello to my good friend Leslie Butler over on the YouTubes. Hi Leslie, Evola's sunglasses too. Good to see you. I'm just gonna bring up as we speak here. Give me a sec. I'm gonna bring up the old Getter live stream as well, so I can see what's happening over there. I know some of you folks will be on the Getter. Let me just bring that one up. Yep, that's coming up now. Hi, Vicky. Great to see you as well over there. So let me just line these up so I can see what you have to say. So, I see you folks. Hi, Chris in Brown Hills, Walsall, the exotic Walsall. Good to see you, Chris. Good to have you with us. And as I say, we are broadcasting everywhere. We're on the Twitterverse. We are on the Twatters. Yes. Hello to everybody on Twitter as well. Gotta say, I've been back. Hi, Chris Davies, of course, are one of our top most illustrious supporters. Chris, good to see you, my friend. The old Twitter has gone kind of a bit ballistic. Got massive traction over there at the moment. So cheers to the folks on Twitter. I missed having the conversation with so many good friends over there as well. One of the weird things is everyone lives in silos, it's a strange thing, world we live in. So like there's people who just basically exist on Twitter and they don't go together and they don't go to Gab, they just stay on Twitter. And it's like I find this really strange this last couple of weeks because it's like I have died and have returned because all of a sudden people are saying, we missed you. Where were you for the last couple of years? 2 years and 2 months. And the answer is, well, I was on Getter, I was on Gab, I was on Parler, I was on Minds, I was on YouTubes, I was on I Fly Like an Evil. Good to see you as well. I've always been, I haven't gone away, but they went away because they live in the Twitter silo, you see, and that's basically how it works. Yeah, Chris Davies, I understand your comment, and certainly in terms of engagement, Twitter blows away everywhere. I'm afraid everywhere it really, really does. But anyway, I welcome all free speech platforms. So whether it's I'm sorry, I'm reading out Gorgo Knight's comment. He's still banned over there. Can't state that you want to slap Trudeau. Who you don't want to slap Trudeau. You want to embrace Trudeau. Justin, I mean, what's not to like about a tyrannical thug? Oh, did I say that? Did I say that? Yeah, I think I did actually. So anyway, so you're all very welcome. Thanks very much for coming here and spending the next hour with myself and Jed. The two of us are here with you this evening, and we've got a action-packed sort of evening of topics that we want to go through with you. So I hope you'll find them interesting. Republican Rocker says, I never like to spread myself too thin in virtual reality. Getter is good enough. Stevie, my good friend Stevie McIntosh says, I'm still banned from the Twatters. Lorgan Mulligan says, good evening. Hi, Lorgan. How are you? Canadian mom. Yeah, I understand. I mean, what Twitter needs to do is give all of you guys a return to the freedom that I now enjoy. That's what needs to happen. There's an interesting comment from Chris Davies, by the way. I just see Chris is telling me over on the YouTubes that, yeah, massive demo in Dublin on Saturday that never made the BBC News. That's right. So the folks in Dublin, and I believe, Chris, this is in North Dublin, the North Wall, the East Wall, I think it is, at the harbour there anyway, at the Dublin port. The folks there in Dublin are very, very upset about the fact that there's these coach loads of migrants, and they just rocked up and they've been farmed out into hotels and so on and so forth. And the Dublin people didn't vote for this, didn't want it, or a lot of them don't want it. And so, they're out protesting, and good for them. I stand with all the East Wall, John. Thank you for clarifying that. The East Wall, I know it well. Just back at the back of the Gibson Hotel there, any of you folks know that area. Yeah, it's interesting to see the developments there. Canadian mom says, "LOL." Trudeau spent 54 million on a COVID Arrive Can app that could have been made for 250K. Oh yeah, see, money, Canadian mom, money even means nothing to these monsters because it's not their money, it's your money. It's Canadian people's money. In the case of Biden, it's Americans' money. In the case of the UK, it's our money that the government essentially takes and misappropriates and spends in ways that we don't find acceptable. But anyway, there we have it. That's the nature of government. One of the reasons why, there is a case to be said for anarchy. Did I just say that as well? Oh, yes, I did. Now, here's an interesting one. I'm going to have to bring my producer onto the screen here, and he's going to have to entertain you guys for a minute whilst I remember to plug in my computer. Other than that, is going to be out of power. So, Ged, the floor is good evening, Ged. First of all, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, David. You go and get your charger,
Yeah.
and I will keep everybody
I'll be back.
entertained. And just remind them that obviously all David's work is over on davidvance.net, and there's much more there. There's articles from Paddy, the City Troll, a great contributor to everything that we do here. He looks after that site as well and keeps it up and running. So Paddy does some great articles. We've got some other articles from some great Indian people that we have that have gone up over the past few days. We've got some other writers coming on board. We've got Andy Mack coming back from a previous site or previous incantation of David's site, writing for davidvance.net. So get over there, guys. There is more stuff to see and to read and to listen to. You're back, David. There we go.
Right,
I was doing a bit of shilling for you, as I always do.
I'm back, Ged, and that was done effortlessly. It was so smooth, smooth as butter. No one saw anything there.
I'm not quite sure as smooth as butter, mate. But
smooth as butter,
I do
Ged.
try. I mean, me and Paddy and yourself spend a lot of time getting that site up and running, and we just want people to enjoy it, people to comment, and if you wish, write your own articles, and we'll publish them for you.
Right. So there we go, folks. Jed's spoken. Can I say, Mally Bites, good to see you, my friend, as well.
Lisa Butler can come back again, because I know that comment is for me. Because she only wrote that when I came on.
Leslie says, "Hello, handsome." Nah.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
No. Well, you see,
she knows me so well, doesn't she?
It's that wonderful simian face of yours, Jed.
I always got to smile, me, David. Always got to smile.
Well, you see, since you recovered from monkeypox, you've got a smile.
Well, yeah, you can still see I've got the after effects, of course.
Oh, you've got long. Is there such a thing as long monkeypox?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely long monkeypox. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Leslie Butler. She says it was you. She was directing the comment out. You're so handsome, right, Leslie Butler? You are now.
Like I said, she's only human, David. She's only human.
She is, and that cute monkey face of yours gets them all. Right now, we're going to move on to serious ground now. So the first thing I wanted to chat about, and I am cognizant that we are streaming this one onto the YouTubes. So YouTube, where of course you mustn't spread medical misinformation, which is basically an euphemism for spreading information that they don't like. So that's what medical misinformation means on the YouTubes. But yeah, this has been a big topic in the last number of days. It's all to do with this Streb A outbreak, which is costing the lives of some young kids who have actually died from it. And I've got quite a bit I want to talk about on it, Jed. So stick with me, because folks, we're going to go through this one together, because I think there's several things to talk about here. And one of, the most obvious thing to say.
Sorry, David, that was me. Sorry.
Yeah, the most obvious thing to say, first of all, is that I fly like an eagle says some people got donkey pox. Listen, nothing surprises me anymore. I fly like an eagle. Nothing surprises me anymore. So on a serious note, no one wants to see young children, taken very ill, let alone die. It's the worst conceivable thing as a parent and as a grandparent I can conceive of, right? So that's from the get-go. No, Leslie, you're not barred anymore. I've let you back. Right. So that's the first thing to be said. However, when it comes to strep A, which is a bacterial infection, which is ordinarily not a problem, not a problem at all, uh, it's now all of a sudden it is a problem. And we've got to ask ourselves some tough questions. Well, why is it suddenly a problem? And you're getting the mainstream media telling you, well, it's a problem, you see, because well, the kids had to be locked down and their immune systems have been a wee bit weakened, and so well, so maybe when they get hit with a bacterial infection like strep A, it well it can kill them. What? Yeah, that's kind of what we're being told. Now, Jed, the first thing I wanted to say to you was regarding how life is for youngsters these days. I'm sorry, I know I'm going to sound, oh, here's Father Time lecturer. Thank you, Straight Talking, by the way. Good to have you here, of course. Um, is that when I was young, Jed, we used to spend. I spent pretty much my whole young life out with friends, kicking football in local gardens on a sort of half a pitch that we had, jumping, doing all the things that youngsters used to do, basically getting my hands dirty. There was hygiene wasn't a big consideration. It was about just having fun, being young, and you were mixing with the other friends and say sort of doing things like that. So, in other words, your immune system was being primed all the time. But we live in an age where young people tend not to do that so much now, Jed. There's been a sanitization of the young, and I wonder, is that a factor? Hi, Louise Richards, by the way, good to see you. Jed.
It is, David. You're absolutely right, because even when I was a kid, and I know our ages are not that far apart. Obviously, I'm younger and better looking. Well,
He's 10
at
years
least
older.
Leslie Butler thinks so. Anyway,
Yeah.
at least Leslie thinks so. But no, see, I used to be, used to make mud pies, and I remember, playing down by the brook and ending up, knee deep or in mud and all sorts, coming home absolutely caked in it, and it never did me any. Sorry, I'm just a twitch. Sorry, another twitch. Never did me any harm. The point is, yes, that is a factor that kids just don't go out anymore much. They only meet at school predominantly.
Yeah.
That's been a factor though for the past 20, 30 years, but there's been something new over the past couple of years.
Well,
something
yes, there has.
dramatic over the past couple of years.
Well, there has, yeah, but exactly, no, you're right. And what I've just said about has been a fact is it's a generation, it's a generational thing. Yes, Chris Davies, I have commented on my Twitter feed on me and Rod Stewart having a ding dong. So go and check it out on Twitter. So Jed, but here's the point. So I agree with that. And it's almost like something has happened in the last couple of years. So let me give you an instance, which I'm sure hopefully everyone listening to this will appreciate. So when these things come into your own family, you appreciate the issue more. So I have a family member whose child was unwell over the weekend past, and they had a little bit of a rash, and they were like, the child was unwell. Okay, so they thought, and they'd been seeing all this stuff in the press about strep A and all of that. So they thought, well, let's see if we can contact the doctors and see if the doctor can help. They were on the phone for, I think it was about 3 or 4 hours to try Jed and get through. Never mind see a doctor, just get through. And eventually they gave up, and instead, I think they went to the pharmacist, right? But here's my point, and this is the point I want to chat to you about. When something like strep A comes along, ordinarily what should happen, and I think this is reasonable, you take a child in, see a doctor has a quick look and says, yep or no, or here's what you need to take, or you're okay. And that's what should happen. But that doesn't happen, Jed, because since COVID, GPs have gone missing in action. And if they're a decent DGP, like our friend Dr. David Cartland, they are hung out to dry by the BMA. So So I think there's a negligence in the GP system, and these poor little kids are kind of being caught in it, if you know what I mean. So rather than, in this case, my family member being able to take her child to see a doctor, she didn't. Now, as it turns out, the child's been turned out fine. But things like strep A, which is initially harmless, can become very dangerous if left untreated after some time, especially if it goes deeper into the system. So I put it to you that the doctors are culpable as well.
I don't doubt that at all, David. Yes, I agree that they are missing in action. I tell you when they're not missing. They're not missing when it's payday. They're not missing when they go, oh, you can have that operation privately. Oh, yeah, how much? Oh, well, 3 grand. And who do I see for that? Me. Well, hang on, you can't do it for 3 years, but you can do it tomorrow if I pay
Yeah,
you 3 grand. That
yeah.
is the problem. We have to stop doctors being able to freelance, because that's what it is. Freelance. They either work for the NHS or they don't. Simple as. Yeah, they can't do both. Because what is happening here, David, is one, they're not seeing patients. They're simply just not seeing them. The best you can get is a phone call. Yeah. And that's what, your 2 minutes of, oh, well, I'll diagnose you over the phone. Right. Okay. So I've got a broken leg. So are you going to diagnose that? You have to manipulate it. Are you going to manipulate? No, you can't do that. It's all BS, David. It's BS. The thing is, I think every doctor and every nurse should be sacked on the spot. NHS, we're witnessing the collapse of the NHS right here, right now. And it can't come a day too soon. The whole thing needs starting all over again. It really does. It is not fit for purpose. It is killing people on a daily basis, and it is not providing any service, really, that the taxpayer are paying for. Yet they keep going, we want more money. We want more money. Well, we're nearly £200 billion a year into a cesspit of what is the thing that's called healthcare in this country. I'd rather have the American system. At least I know if I have insurance, I can get medication, I can get treatment, and my outcomes are far, far better than what the NHS are.
Well, it's as simple as this. I've got a dog. If my dog is unwell, I can take her to the vets same day and get things sorted out. A dog, Jed, gets a better standard of health care in the United Kingdom than a human being. Well, please, that's not right. That's completely wrong. And the NHS is broken. And by the way, the doctors, I think the average doctor's salary is £111,000 per annum. And I think they're now looking at 30% increase, Jed, and that would take them to approximately £145,000 a year. But you still can't get
David, I got David. A GP, a senior GP, is on £160,000 a year, and his pension, or the pension, is half that.
Yeah. But these people are already overpaid and they're not
They're
providing.
overpaid and underworked. They said they're overworked. Utter garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Well,
I can tell you now, a doctor will turn up at the surgery. What? I know, because I've had appointments booked for 8 o'clock and I've got there at 8,
yeah.
over my knee, as you know, and I've got there at 8,
Yeah.
and I've gone, oh, it's 8:30. I've gone back to reception and said, well, where's the doctor? I had an appointment. Oh, he doesn't start till 8:30. But you booked me an appointment for 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it won't be in till 8:30 at the earliest, maybe 8:45. Right, so he starts when he likes. Okay, great. And I can guarantee they will knock off mid-afternoon and then go and start doing the private work. Why? Because private work pays better than the NHS pays them. That's
Yeah.
why.
No,
And
it
that's
is a
fundamentally wrong. They either work for the NHS or they don't work at all.
Yeah. But back to Strep A. So I think this is a factor as well. The fact that parents, mums and dads can't take their kids to see the doctor and have the kid, Jed, given a once over to understand if there is a problem or if there isn't a problem. And also, for example, I mean, this is something I bet you many people, some people on the stream will definitely have experienced this. God help you if you have something goes wrong with a child at the weekend. So if you wake up on a Saturday morning and your child's got a little pink rash, say, which is one of the symptoms, by the way, right? Scarlet fever and all of that. You're not, where do you go? Because when you
Well,
can go to the
you
hospital.
can't, and it's not just at weekends, David.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
exactly the same now during the week.
Mm.
There is no weekday and weekend difference anymore. It's all the same. The doctors do not want to see you. And I tell you, they get out of jail free card when all these kids are dying because they couldn't see a doctor.
Yeah.
They get out of free card is COVID restrictions, but there are none. But they'll use that as an excuse. We're seeing excess deaths. Google, there are excess deaths in the UK. It's government figures. We're seeing excess deaths. And what are they blaming it on? Well, they're trying to blame it on lockdown.
Well, they're trying to blame it. Yeah, hang on.
We all know there's something different there.
Well, you see, Jed, here's the oh, by the way, hello to Iber Stellar. Good to see you, my friend. Hello to Louise Richards as well. Yes, I see all of you guys. See you. Thanks very obviously. Thanks for being here. Good to see you.
Yeah, that one gets me every time, that username, David.
I think you have to have at least 6 drinks before you can say that, which we might.
Probably 12 for me.
Probably 12. Yeah. But so there's been the collapse in the GPs. The GP service, and that is absolutely appalling. But what you're saying is that they use, oh yeah, but lockdowns have caused this. Okay, who are the people in favor of lockdowns? It sure as hell wasn't us. It wasn't any. I don't believe it was anyone in any stream watching me. We opposed lockdowns. The people who were in favor of lockdowns are now saying, yeah, well, the lockdowns, we had to do that. No, you didn't. Choice. That was a deliberate choice. And the other thing is, Jed, the teaching unions, they were the ones that wanted the schools kept closed. So instead of kids going into school and sitting with all their friends, just like normal, and the normal interaction of kids, which is healthy for their immune systems, the kids were denied that. So I'm blaming
there's a common thread there, though, David, isn't there? Common thread with the teachers, the NHS, public sector. Public sector is a cancer on taxpayers. Anybody and everybody in the public sector is just a leech of the rest of us. They don't produce anything. They don't generate cash. They don't generate profit. All they do is generate heartache, taxation, and misery. That's all they do. Right from top civil servants all the way down, all of them are just leeches.
Well, okay, that's a sweeping statement. I think there are the occasional good egg amongst them, I have to say. But I do agree with Leslie Butler. And Leslie's calling out the teachers in this because and you're dead right, Leslie. I know teachers who were agitating for, number one, the schools to stay closed. If you remember, hi, Stephen. They also wanted the kids to wear masks, Jed, the kids in masks. And indeed, I read today that some people are suggesting in order to fight Streb A, maybe we need to bring back masks in the classroom. No, masks could be YouTube a potential contributory factor because of the impact that has on the immune system as well. So the truth of the matter, and Iber Stellar agrees with you, Jed. He says, yes, the public sector retired 55, whilst we all slave away till 67. Yeah, I completely agree.
68 next year, tell you now.
It's going to be 70 in a few years' time. And
David, I mean, I'll be dead before I can retire.
I know, but that's the plan. They want you as essentially a tax cow. So they take your taxes, Jed, and and I know this annoys you, and it annoys me as well. They take our taxes and they give them to public sector parasites. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's how many of us feel about it. But the teachers, Leslie, I wanted to finish in that. These teachers were agitating to get the kids A, out of the class and back home so they didn't have to work, and B, well, if they do have to come in, make them wear masks. That's bound to have had an impact on the kids' immune systems over the past couple of years as well, Jed. So that's another factor, right? And then let's go to the elephant in the room we haven't spoken about yet. Hi, Stephen, by the way. I see you in both streams, confusing me, both streams. Jed, the COVID vaccinations. Now, we are on YouTube, so we're going to be careful how we phrase this. But the fact of the matter is that at least some kids, have had this treatment. Thankfully, not as many as could have had the injection so far, anyway. But again, we don't know what the impact of the COVID jabs are on their immune system, or to put it another way, yes, we do, but if we say it, YouTube will ban us. So you'll just have to think that, just have to draw your own conclusions. But what I'm saying is that I think COVID vaccines have been a factor as well.
No,
As a,
absolutely, David. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
yeah,
And you can say that about anybody turning ill now or dying now. That is a major. See. We have to be careful because of the gods at
because
Google.
of the
Google
cancer that
clearly
is YouTube.
Google
Yeah,
are the font of anything that is true.
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, although they're
I'm
not.
not,
You
yeah.
know, I can tell you that Google are not everything. Everything Google believes is true is not true. Okay. But
Oh yeah, no,
to
yeah,
answer the question, you know where
yeah,
I want to go with this, David,
yeah.
and it is a major factor. And
It-
it's so much a factor that we're now getting so many government ministers that was involved in that campaign not standing next time round.
like
Why is
Matt
that?
Hancock.
Why are there so many not standing next time round that were the key pushers?
I wonder why.
Is it
Well,
because they're hoping to get away with it and therefore slunk off into the background so they will not face crimes of humanity?
well, I mean, Matt Hancock says that he won't be standing in 2 years' time, but he should be standing. He should be
Yeah, it's
standing in a
trial.
courtroom, in the dock, with, and he should be tried, in my opinion, for his
Yes, my
role.
lord.
And yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
for his
yes, Your
role
Honor.
in the death of thousands of our elderly people who were moved from, they were booted out of hospital, Jed, stuck in care homes, and he's not called Medazzle Matt for no good reason. And those of you who understand know exactly what I'm saying.
But
Thanks,
that's what
by
they're
the
trying to
way.
do, David. You know, look at how Matt Hancock on I'm a Celebrity and subsequently now with his new book. He's tried to get the book out ahead of the inquiry into him to
Mhm,
try
mhm.
and lessen. But the point is, the trouble we've got is anybody that could hold these people to account are involved. That is the problem. Yeah. So if you take Nuremberg after the Second World War, the governments that went after the Nazis were the victors, and they were true and right to go after the Nazis,
Yeah,
absolutely, and hold them to account. But unfortunately, now our governments are the ones that need to be held to account. So how do you hold them to account?
I know it's exactly,
You
Jed.
can't.
That's the exact. City Troll says David sipping bourbon. I wish this were bourbon, City Troll. I'm afraid it is coffee. Christmas blend coffee, by the way. I have to say a little bit of seasonality here in the glass. But I know you're dead right, Jed. I mean, so look. So when it comes to this strep A, it's really quite there's a lot of factors need to be taken into consideration. So when I hear the mainstream media, Jed, saying, "Oh no, it's all to do with lockdown," no, sorry, that may be one aspect, but there are all these aspects. But they won't
Yeah,
talk about.
they're trying to again. They're trying to. If I get the use the terminology correctly, they're trying to gaslight you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Saying
yeah.
you know, it is it's lockdown. It's not. It might be a factor. I think it's a small factor. I do agree with you. Kids need to mix to spread germs to each other to get ill. It's what kids do, and that's how you build up your immune system. But the key factor is what's happened over the past 12 months, 18 months with what
Yeah.
they've been pushing. And
And
as you said, as we spoke in the green room before,
yeah,
there is a certain MP that stood up in Parliament today and
yeah,
questioned the Prime Minister
yeah,
over you know what? I can't say because of YouTube, but you
yeah,
know what he questioned him over. And did
yeah.
he get an answer? No, he didn't, because they're all now
No.
backtracking and trying to protect their own asses.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's snake Rishi Sunak, absolute snake.
It's
Uh,
okay, they'll be toast, David. The second they call the election, they are
they're
toast. But I
gone.
can tell you
They're
now,
gone.
in Scotland, the polls now have Labour in the lead over SNP. They also then have Conservatives up there, but not as high as they were. They're falling, but they do have reform. They've gone from 1% to 11% of the vote of the poll.
Yeah. Well, of course, we certainly need to have something better, Jed. We have to have something.
If you want reform, vote reform. And I know you keep saying the controlled opposition, David, but if you vote blue, you get red. If you vote red, you get red. If you vote green, you get red. So you could at least try something new.
So I'm just going to pick up. Let me take a minute or two just to pick up some comments here, Jed. I want to just read out. Iberstellar over in YouTube is debating whether Talisker or Jura whiskey. The answer is Iberstellar, and it's in my house, Talisker. I'm a huge fan of Talisker from the Isle of Islay, which sometimes I can see across the sea from where sometimes I am. So I'm very much in that. Chris Davies, Chris brings up a great point. Jacinda Ardern has given the poor young baby in New Zealand jabbed blood. Yeah, I've done a podcast on that one, Chris Davies. It's a really important story for me. It's very much about the fact that, as you know, Jed, a young couple in Australia have a very seriously ill young infant. The infant needs heart surgery, but the parents do not want the child getting vaccinated blood. That's their choice. The people should respect that choice, but not in Australia and not in New Zealand. So the baby is going to be taken. Essentially, there's a court order being made where that baby will be given a transfusion as part of the heart surgery the child needs. Yeah, I called it mandatory lab jabbed blood. It's on davidvance.net. But it appalled me, Chris Davies, because I'm just thinking, if that was my infant, I would want my infant to survive more than anything else. That's, as a parent, everyone who's a parent understands this. But if you've been fighting for the last couple of years and you've not taken the COVID treatments, then why the hell should your baby be forced to take blood which has been subject to those COVID treatments? Anyway, I've put the podcast there. Go and listen to the podcast, folks, if you want to. So I wanted to pick up on that comment. Let's see what else we've got here. I just want to read one there. There was one that caught my eye from Canadian Mom. It says, I have a dead 13-year-old nephew after third jab. Hospital tried to get him cremated without consent. Can I just say, actually, Jed, just on this one, because this is something I'm aware of it. I haven't talked that much about it on the podcast and stuff, but in Canada, I mean, they're really pushing euthanasia. Have you seen that, Jed? I mean,
I did see your tweets as well. I'd also heard about it because my good lady told me.
Yeah,
where a lady was trying to get a stir lift. So instead of giving her a stir lift, they offered her euthanasia.
She was a veteran.
They brought that legislation in, and then it was a very, very narrow field where you could actually go for euthanasia. Then they just kept widening and widening the scope. Now, anybody, and they can, if they wish, they can do it to you.
Well,
without you requesting.
That lady in Canada, as far as I understand, she was a veteran. She was someone who had served in uniform, and I think she got injured or whatever. Something happened, and she said she wanted a stair lift in, and she was asked, and she was instead they said to her, "Do you want to consider euthanasia?" What? And yes, and it's not just euthanasia. It's not just Canada, because this is rightly pointed out by our good tongue twister friend, obviously. Holland as well. Holland too. So they are playing the euthanasia card. And to me,
David, do you not just think at the moment we are normalizing things like euthanasia, pedophilia, or what is it, minor attracted person or something like that?
Maps.
We are down in the depths of evil at the moment. And why? I tell you why. Because we've allowed the left to have control. This is why everything's about diversity and inclusion. This is why somebody can go and change their name, go to the palace dressed as an African with an African name, and then when somebody says, "Where are you from?" cause a whole race row and get
we're going to talk about that.
81-year-old Sorry,
Yep.
David,
I
but
got told
anything
that.
on you want to be sacked. The
Yeah.
thing is, we've allowed the left to control our establishment, and now we are reaping the rewards of allowing them to do that. Because I remember back in the day, when somebody went, Jed, you can't call it a blackboard. It's a chalkboard. And I went, no, it's a blackboard. And
Yeah.
we laughed at political correctness in those days, didn't we? Look at us now. We are not laughing now. I'm telling you now. Those seeds were sown 30, 40 years ago. And
Yeah.
now we are reaping that crop. And unfortunately, it's a crop that's rotten to the core.
So again, a few more comments I want to read out over on YouTube. Chris Davies asks, makes a point. A man in Canada couldn't pay his rent, so they offered him euthanasia. Yeah, it's satanic. Chris, also, by the way, and we're not going down this rabbit hole. Is Kanye mad, or is he just telling the truth? I'm not going.
David, step back. There's some topics that we'll cover and scutter around, but step back.
I know I jumped down most rabbit holes, but actually I have put out a podcast saying that I think Kanye West is probably having a nervous breakdown of some sort in public. But I'm not going to that one. But I wanted to acknowledge your point. Stevie McIntosh over on the Getters is saying that it's depopulation and all about control. Yeah, I agree. And can I just say to our friend Mally Bites over on Getter as well, a big shout out to the folks at Voice of Wales who do a great job over on the Getter in particular. I see, all the stuff you guys are doing. So I want to salute all you guys as well, because
and the new channel, David.
they have
Voice
got,
of
yes.
Britain. Yeah.
Yep. They've got new logo. They've done a lot of good work there, and I am appreciative of platforms like Voice of Wales as well. So thank you. A Republican Rocker says, "What's the deal with the Italian clothing company that promotes pedophilia?" Oh yeah, those lot. Yeah, the satanic lot. Was it Balangiaglio? Yeah, those
Something
lot.
like that, David. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You try that.
You said you're having a closing down sale on your.
I did. I did. And funnily enough, I noticed that Sarah Vine, who some of you will know, she actually responded to that. And she said, even at half price, it's too expensive. So the thing about it is, for me, actually, just on that one, who said that? Missed that comment. I can't remember. I can't forgotten now. The thing about Bale and Giaglio was Giaglio is that the key word is bail. Focus on the bail part of the clothing brand, and you've got a pretty good idea what you're dealing with. So I'll say no more than that. Hi, Dave Barker, by the way. Thanks for joining in the stream. Thank you, Stephen Maglio, for all your comments. It's great to see you.
Just as you were talking about that, David, I thought you'd bring it up. This is your little
video. Look,
yeah,
here they are. Yeah, look at. I mean, this is.
But it's also their advertising campaigns are sick and evil, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They are seriously ill people. And again, I tell you now, those sort of people are the people that would vote Democrat or Labour, if you see what I mean. They'd vote left wing because the left wing is sick to the core.
Well, I think like when it comes to things like this, and we're not going to go into it, but in detail. But Chris Davis says, "Is a good time to ask you where you're from." I am. Where am I from? I'm from the People's Republic of Donaghcloney in Northern Ireland.
But where are you really from?
Where am I really from?
Yeah, where's your people from? Where's your people from?
Sorry, that's racism. I'm deeply offended. I am a proud person of color. I just identify as white, but you daren't possibly call me that. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about her. Beale, Stephen Wright. Right. Now, here is the thing, Jed, and we know we've had a bit of fun on this one over the past week, but why not? So we're going to talk about my best friend, Marlene Headley. Who is Marlene? I know some of you are asking, who the hell is Marlene Headley? Who's Marlene Headley from Willesden? Who's Marlene? Well, you see, Marlene Headley, you call her Marlene Headley from Willesden, David, but she calls herself Ngozi Fulani. Ngozi Fulani, and she's a woman. You mentioned it earlier, Jed. This is the person who went along to Buckingham Palace. Yeah. We put up so many podcasts in this, but the people seem to like them, so I'm happy to do them. She's the woman who went to the reception at Buckingham Palace and was asked by Lady Susan Hussey where was she from, and as a consequence of that, Lady Susan Hussey was dismissed hung out to dry by the palace, by King Charles, and consequently by Prince William as well. Woke, and so she got all this massive publicity for her charity, of course, of which, Jed, she's, by the way, the only employee of the charity.
That's amazing, now, isn't it, David?
Oh yes, weird. That weird. Yeah, the only person on the, and yet she keeps talking about her team. So does that mean it's her non-paid team was under pressure? Now, listen, I don't want anyone to be getting abuse on social media. I don't like it when I get it. Don't think anyone should get it. But asking people like,
but don't be a race grifter, and then don't expect people to call you out on it. If you're a race grifter, you will be called out on it.
Well, but the thing is, there she was, Jed, last week. I think it was this day. I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday night, and she was standing there at this reception in what looked like. I mean, somebody said she looks like she's auditioning for the Lion King. Did you see the outfit?
I did. Yeah, I did.
It's great comment. So she's in African attire. She's got this African-sounding name. So if this elderly lady comes along, lady in waiting for royalty, and their job is to scout out the people to see basically where you get a few facts about them, so that they can then whisper in the shell like of the king or queen, look, you're going to meet David, and he's from Donaghcloney set, right? So, but in this case, so was it that surprising that she said which part of Africa? Eventually she said, but which part of Africa are you from? So, I think that Lady Susan Hussey was doing a job. I think this is all a storm in a teacup. I'm so disappointed in the royal family for for how they've responded. Dave Barker says, "I'm off to like Christmas panto. It's snow neutral and the 7 vertically challenged people." Oh no, it's not, Dave Barker. Oh no, it's not.
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah. So I mean, Tommy, I see your comment about her as well. Yeah. So the thing is that, I mean, honestly, the right thing to have done, Jed, and for as far as I'd be concerned in this, would have been to stand by Lady Hussey. Do not allow race baiting. Do not allow the ritual humiliation of this woman. Fulani's been saying, "Oh, it's been awful for me in social media." Who lost their job? Who lost it?
Yeah. Probably whose charity has now just got tens of thousands of pounds more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, she's done it for a reason, David. She's a grifter through and through. Just like the other two involved with the palace, Harry and what's she called?
Oh, Harry and Meghan.
Great. That's it. Yeah, grifter Meghan. Yeah.
They're
both grifters, and they both should be struck off completely. Yeah, they are no longer British citizens. He's no longer a member of the royal family.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, Harry and Meghan are about to, I think, is it tonight, Jed, or tomorrow? They're about to launch the first part of their Netflix documentary.
But they're race grifters, David. This is it. It's all about race grifting. And if you're a race grifter, you will be called out, and the British public will call you out on it. They called her out, with Marlene, or whatever she's called, whatever her real name is.
Marlene Headley, yeah.
Yeah, and we call out them too as well. They are race grifters. Just like Black Lives Matter, we're race grifters.
Well, did you see that they won? Meghan and Harry won some awards somewhere in the
States? Of course they did, David.
For fighting racism.
Winning awards when they lose their royal titles.
Well, yeah, I mean, they might struggle to, continue their lavish lifestyle just on the awards that they win. But I think they should be stripped of every aspect of royalty. They should be stripped of British citizenship
of London. Passport. That's right. I think they should be. Yeah.
No, Yeah, that would be good. But here's the problem, and I know a lot of people, like I've got very mixed views on the royal family, especially after the Queen passed away. But you know, a lot of people still respect the British royal family. But this couple, Jed, Harry and Meghan, are systematically destroying the royal family. Certainly, from an American audience. I don't know if you guys, you know, in the States, watching this, you know, you obviously get the American slant on it. And I think it's pretty sympathetic to Harry and Meghan and very anti the British monarchy as is at the moment. And as I
I
said,
think he's been captured by her. I do. And there was a comment made. I don't know who made it. It was someone, probably on Vaccine Radio, that he's too in love. And I think he is. And I think he's blinded. I think he's been blinded by her. Yeah. And she's the grifter. Look. Let's just look at facts here. She's estranged from her own dad. Yeah. Her mother
yeah,
doesn't want to know her, really. Her sisters don't want to know her. Anybody that's ever worked with her, like
yeah,
on the suit or whatever it's called, don't
it's,
want
yeah.
to
I
know her.
watched it. Yeah,
Yeah. You know, she's done what, like porn
I don't
in
know.
her time. She has. I've seen some of the videos. Yeah, she is a grifter. She is a third or fourth rate actress, if you can call it. Oh, in fact, I can't call her an actress because that's gendered, isn't it?
Yes, a
So I just
person,
call her a grifter. She's
and,
a grifter. She grifted her way over to Harry. Harry fell for it, and now he's in hook, line, and sinker. And I see. I still think when you look at him, he looks like he is an hostage, and he's holding
yeah,
him hostage. And
yeah,
all he has to do is
yeah.
blink 3 times, and we'll come and get you, Harry. But you're no longer welcome in this country.
Yeah, it looks like hostage videos when he's with her, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does, David. There is no real love there, is there? You see, a
Well,
couple of them were the happy, but he's just thinking. I know what he's thinking. She's writing these books and coming up with these tales and these lies and whatever. I mean, even look at the trailer. There isn't anything true in that trailer.
So Chris Davies makes a brilliant comment. Leave Harry and Meghan alone. They just want their privacy. Yeah, Chris. But I mean, Chris is right. This pair said, "Oh, leave us alone. We're being hounded by the media. We just want to be alone." And then
But
they sign up.
David, even in the trailer, the shots of them being hounded by the media are not even them being hounded by the media.
I know. I mean,
They are completely different people.
I have to say, I watched the series Suits that she was in, which I think is a brilliant series, by the way. Absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, she's really good in it. But you know, she is acting. Everything is from the teeth out. It's all insincere. And so I think she's now acting the role of the, you know, the royal consort, as it were. And I just think it's pretty horrendous. It's just
you know what I
distasteful.
think
It's
it was?
horrible.
I think she thought, I'll marry a prince, and
Yeah.
everybody will listen to what I say, and everybody will do what I say. And I think the Queen went, whoa, wind it in. I'm the queen bee here, not you. And I think that put her nose out, and then she went about to set out to try and destroy the royal family.
A couple of
Every
comments.
time she doesn't get her way, she tries to destroy. Look at her dad, look at her family, look at her sisters. Yeah, she's toxic.
Actually, well, some people, I did put this out on social media. I want to know, why do people call her? You know, she's a strong, empowered black woman. How is she a
She's not
black
black.
woman? Her father was a white man, and her mother
Yeah.
was of color. So she is not black.
Why
To
is
say
it
that
when
is
people
just
are mixed race, they always say they're black? They never say they're
why
white.
is that? I'd like to know more
That's
about
funny. Okay, even Lewis Hamilton, yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah,
refers
same.
to himself as
Yeah,
black. He's not.
yeah.
He's half
No, it's
caste.
not. No.
So he's equally black as he is white, and she's equally white as she is black. She can't have it both ways. She can't say I'm black and then have a white parent.
Although, again, some more comments yet. I want to read them. I want to try and get as many comments out as possible. Ivor Stellar says, "I can't stand the royal family. A Luciferian Clang who protected Jimmy Savile." Yeah, I sort of I understand that point, Iber. Get that one.
I thought
And then
Jim Royal was brilliant.
Jimmy,
Jim Royal,
oh
Royal
God.
Family. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, Jed, yeah, I'm having to work hard here. Iber also says Trump is going to be right again when he said this will end in tears. He did actually. Donald Trump did say of Meghan and Harry, it will end in tears.
It
And
will. It will.
Iber, you're right. Our Trump is right to have said that. But
But by
you
the
know,
time that happens, there will be nowhere for Harry to go. All these bridges will be burnt.
sad. Right? In a way, it's sort of sad, and in a way, it's not because, yeah, yeah, it can
No,
affect.
they've made the bed. Now they need to lie in it. But they can
Yeah,
lie in it while the
yeah.
rest of us point out the lies, the untruths. I don't care if it's their lived
Uh,
reality, their truth. Truth is truth, no matter where your viewpoint is. You can't make your own truth. They are
no,
lies, and they are being proven time and time again to be liars, both of them.
Now, some wise words over in Getter from Dan 2848. He says, remember, people, they play both sides, communists, and Nazis, two sides of the same coin, divide and rule. Absolutely, Dan 2848. I understand that point. I agree. They love distraction. They love false divisions amongst people. I mean, it's a point that I made recently on some other stream that from how I've changed yet over the past couple of years is I don't see the world in right versus left. I see the world in right versus wrong, good
Good
versus
versus
evil.
evil, more
And
like.
and there are good people you'll find, and I found them over the past few years who are diametrically opposed to me and certain other things. And but in a way, you set all those things aside and you say, what's the most important thing in life? To be able to live your life free, Jed, without tyranny, without totalitarian control over your life. All of those are the things that are important. With being able to maintain your bodily autonomy, YouTube, those things are important. That's what, and the rest of it then can
But
follow.
there
Um,
seems to be a theme with all of this, though, doesn't it, David? It started with a virus, a bioweapon being released by China on the world,
well, was
then
it? Yeah.
lockdowns, climate lunatics, just
Well,
driving up the wall.
well,
And, now we're having lockdowns in Oxford or potential lockdowns in 2024.
next in 24. Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing is, that will never work, David. I'm telling you now, it will never work. And people will start to cut those barriers down and all that. What about people who have got to drive out for work? What about, and they're saying, oh, well, because if you look at the legislation, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but if you look at the legislation that they're trying to put in, they say you can have, for example, 100 car journeys out of your area per year.
Per
But if you've
year. Yeah.
got two cars, that's 50 journeys each. If it's got three cars, yeah, that's 33 journeys each. If it's got four, you see what I'm saying? So you'll get less and less and less. But the point is, people have got to go into that area. People have got to go out. What you're trying to make is an enclave inside the United Kingdom. It will not work. It will not wash. There will be riots, and councillors will face the price for their stupidity.
Well, you mentioned climate, which actually brings me on to the final thing I want to just touch on, because as we record this, Jed, there's about to be a sort of a blast of Arctic cold air coming down across the north of Scotland and traveling right down across the UK, over Northern Ireland, down across England, Wales. So shock horror. It's going to get cold in the winter because it's December. It's winter time, right?
No,
So
it doesn't. No, global warming, David. It doesn't.
double. I know. I mean, Greta Thunberg told me the planet is on fire. Jed, I was out working earlier outside, and believe you me, if the planet's
No,
on
it is,
fire,
David. No. That cold you're feeling is not cold. I'm telling
no,
you, the planet is on fire. You look at your feet; they're all scorched. I tell you, look,
yeah.
it's burning up your leg right now.
Oh, well, hang on. Again, I always like to bring the comments in. Chris Davies is on fire tonight. He says it's freezing in Accrington. It's freezing where I am. But actually, hey, Jed, Chris also says he tweeted Peter Hitchens about the Oxford situation, and he replied he couldn't care less about it. Yeah, see, Chris Davies, this is my problem with Peter Hitchens, and this is why Peter and I had a very public spate. And if you go into Twitter and sort of search David Vance, Peter Hitchens, he said some very nasty things about me over Brexit, because back then I wanted a full and clean break from the EU. No ifs and buts, no hanging about, no kind of links back into it, and he didn't. So I find with Hitchens that I've got some things he's okay on, but I also recall he was ultimately someone who, having resisted it, did take the vaccine, right? The COVID vaccine. So I'm afraid I don't see him as I'm not aligned with him on a lot of areas. Let's put it like that. But back to the cold anyway. So it's gonna be a cold. I think there's snow due with me, Ged. But as you say, look, here's a podcast I put out about it. Don't worry about the cold, guys, because the government's told you heat your room. Well, Jed, I'd never thought about this. I thought, it's going to be cold, you're going to be freezing outside. What do I do?
What do you do when it gets cold, David? I don't know. Nobody's told me what I need to do.
No,
exactly. I have clear instructions
on
what I need to do when I'm cold.
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, obviously, we're mocking the government, and rightly so. But here's the more serious point, and we want to. And Leslie tells us it's freezing up with her in Teesside as well.
I knew you were in Teesside, Leslie. I could have come and seen you a week or so ago.
That's right, on one of your cross-country visits. Yeah. But here's the thing: like a lot of people, this is a serious point now. I want to make this serious point, Jen, and get your insight on it. There will be people, elderly people, maybe living alone, people with vulnerabilities, people who, have to stay in all day. It's going to be minus 10 degrees outside. Those people need to heat their homes to survive, right? But the price of energy, be it gas or oil or whatever, is so monumentally high that some of those people may well hesitate to put the heat on. So I'm saying that I think this is a almost murderous side effect of the government's lunatic embrace of the NATO-led aggression against Russia via Ukraine. And British people, old elderly folks, Jed, people maybe in very low incomes, can't afford to pay their bills. Some of them will be scared to put the heat on. So what's going to happen?
No, I'm telling you now, there are more people die of cold than die of heat.
Yeah, that's true.
That is a fact.
Yep.
Google, don't care what you think. It is a fact. It's a global fact. It's a well-known fact. Google, okay? It's not my truth or anybody else's truth. It's the truth, okay?
Yeah.
But yes, this winter they have terrified, particularly the elderly, not to put their heating on. The elderly are terrified anyway of putting the heating on. And they will sit in their chair, in front of that probably electric fire or gas fire, terrified of putting it on. They'll have all the clothes in the world that they own on, and they will freeze to death. And that will be on the government's hands. And the reason it'll be on their hands is you cannot spend 2 years printing money and not expect a cost of living crisis. You can't then spend 6 or 12 or 8 months, no, 12 months now, or whatever it is, supporting a war and saying we're going to put sanctions on the very people who provide us with gas and oil, and then not expect any consequences. And then you can't expect or wipe your hands of the fact that you're putting 25% on every single energy bill to pay for green energy, which clearly doesn't work, clearly cannot cope, clearly will not be the savior that they think it will be. Then they put VAT on the top of that. So it's like, I'll kick you in your left ball, and then I'll put VAT on and kick you in your right ball, and you'll be thankful for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, David, I went off on one. I'm in the mood today.
And Chris Davies then says, "Thank God I'm a gas engineer. My house is roasting." So Chris is lying back, enjoying all the heat, whilst some others or perhaps shivering.
Well, we're all around Chris's then, aren't we, to keep warm?
We're all around the Chris's.
Chris's eating on.
Yeah, Chris. Hey, Chris, put the kettle on. We're all coming around shortly, so if you could just do that, please. Yeah, I also, by the way, I did enjoy a comment from Republican Rocker. I'm trying to see it there. Yeah, he says harp will spray the snowflakes falling rainbow colors. Now, yeah, yeah. We'll not get into the interference and weather interference, Republican Rocker, but we could do another time because I
Well,
think that.
the thing is, we've now got to ask ourselves, David, because with that time of year, and I'm going to throw this one out there, are we going to have a racist Christmas? See, because I can't say a white Christmas because that's racist. So
Well,
are we going to have a race? Is it going to be raining racism on Christmas Day?
well, no, it needs to rain rainbows so that people of all sexual
Puppy dogs,
persuasions
yeah,
can enjoy.
unicorns.
The thing is, I mean, though, as I say, I think that yeah, Louise Richards makes a good point. She says, I think we need to take our elderly to the nearest government paid hotel and order a room and meals and charge to the government. Well, Jed, as you know, I actually did put Louise, just on this. I did put a tweet out a day or so ago. I can't remember, and it was someone from Blackpool had sent me a couple of images. By the way, I'll use
I'll see
fact.
if I can find that as you talk, David.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just two images I put out that had been sent to me by someone from Blackpool, and one showed people in Blackpool queuing for a soup kitchen, homeless people living in the northern English city of Blackpool queuing for a soup kitchen to see if they could be given food, and God love them, they were out in the cold. I mean, and it'd be even worse tonight, I suppose. So contrast that image of those poor people with illegal migrants sitting in a hotel. It was in Glasgow, by the way, but nonetheless, there they were, in a nice hotel, having had a nice meal, and obviously nice and warm and all the rest of it. So there is the problem that we have. You see, we don't look after Louise Butler, our own vulnerable people, our own homeless people. We don't do that. Our wicked, evil governments look after those who come here illegally. I had someone on my Twitter feed earlier today telling me that, how do you know they're illegal? Because they came here illegally. That's why. France is not a
Because they
war
didn't come here via the port of entry with a passport and a visa.
Exactly, Jed.
That
Exactly.
makes them illegal.
Yeah, they are 100% illegal. And indeed, it may well have been a five-star hotel. And Louise Richards, back to what you're saying, and I do burn with a sense of anger in this one. There are lots of, and as we record this one, there's lots of, impoverished, cold British people, many of them elderly. We should be prioritizing their needs. We should be taking care of them. Yeah, here we go. This was a Glasgow hotel, right? But there they are. Look, oh, I hope they're wearing their masks and staying safe. There they are, being looked after. Looks very congenial.
At
Fed
taxpayers' expense.
at your expense, Jed, and mine, and everyone else in the UK. Yep. And then you compare this image with that. And this is definitely in Blackpool. No ambiguity in this one. And as you can see, here they are. And it's a good thing that this restaurant, I think it turns itself into a soup kitchen once a week. And so here they are. But you'll notice maybe there's a bit of a difference between these people and the people in the hotel. And what sort of a country? What sort of a country?
One big difference, though, David. I tell you, it can't be me. I'm not colorblind, am I?
No, it's not me.
I think that's the difference, though. To be honest with you, David. These are indigenous people, and therefore they don't care. Because actually, the Great Replacement doesn't like indigenous people, does it?
Well, if you look at the most recent census, you can see that more and more of our cities are having massive demographic change. And
even my place, David, I sent you that article, didn't I? Yesterday, I think it was.
You did, indeed, yeah.
Refused because they said it was such short notice and they didn't have the public services to support them. I think all the councils should be doing that now, saying, no, up your bike, government. It's your problem. You can turn them back in the channel. We can put gunboats and the
but
first,
they don't. But they won't do that.
The first few dinkies that come across each day, yeah, they'll stop coming very quickly.
Oh yeah, well if you did that, but the government has no intention of doing that.
No, he doesn't want to stop them, David. He wants to encourage them. That's why the
Uh,
benefit system is so easy. That's why legal aid is so easy for them. Me and you couldn't get legal aid if we needed it, but they've got it. They've got the lefty lawyers falling over themselves
so,
to get them to stay. And the
okay,
reason we accept so many in this country, 50% of Albanians or whatever it is, it's because the government get to a stage where they say, well, you've waited so long, we might as well give it you. That's
right,
what the problem
right,
is.
all right. So a couple of comments I want to read out, Chad. I want to try because I'm going to wrap this up shortly. Northern Monkey comes out with a good one-liner. I'd rather stay in France than be placed in Blackpool. How dare you, Northern Monkey? On behalf of the good people of Blackpool, Northern Monkey, you're in trouble. Actually, also, if you looked at Les Banlieues in France, in Paris, I should say, there's parts of France which you really wouldn't want to be in. Try parts of Marseille, parts of Paris. It's a very enriched country. So there's that comment. And I also wanted to see the comment. Yes, Stephen Maglio says here, the other day I saw it. They were cooking cats and guinea pigs on the sidewalk of a street in New York City. Did you see that one, Jed?
I didn't know, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
Honest to God,
We are turning into third world here.
Well, why is that? Because that's who we've brought in. New York City, and as I say, I actually didn't want to share it because I can't stand the notion that you. I mean, I'm a pet lover, right? And the idea of roasting guinea pigs and cats, it just gnaws and turns my
It's not
stomach.
very, David. But it's
Horrible.
what the elites want. They want us all to be third world citizens,
Well,
preferably without an education, preferably sick and ill all the time, so we drop dead. We had the Industrial Revolution, and they keep talking about the fourth Industrial
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that is to take us backwards. It's to take us to before we had the first one. So we are dying young because we're ill sick, because you can't get healthcare or anything like that. You can't get food, you'll be eating bugs, you got nowhere to live.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Your employer will give you somewhere to live until you're sacked, and then you lose. So we're going backwards, David. We're
okay.
regressing back to the early 1800s.
I think we need to bring things to an end. Chris Davies is off for a glass of red wine. That's an excellent idea, Chris Davies. Good
Well,
for
I've got
you.
a funny to finish on, David.
So okay, so yeah, but we'll come down in a second. Yeah, I'm not totally finished yet. So yes, Chris Davies, I see that comment. And John Gleason, actually, you beat me to it because they may be cooking cats and guinea pigs in New York City. But John's right. He says, I also saw a video of people stealing geese and ducks from a park in Birmingham. And well, I leave it to your imagination who might do these things. I'm afraid, there are dark times all around us, and what we need to do is shine as much light on it as possible, and that's what we try our very best to do. So listen, I know Jed's got to play out. We always play out in a funny, so we always because after
I'm just hoping I haven't played this funny before.
Oh well, okay. Well, I'm sure if you have, I'm sure it'll be equally good the second time around. But listen, can I just say a big thank you to everybody on all the channels. Thank you over in the Getters. Thank you on the YouTubes. Thank you on the Twitters, the Rumbles, all of that there. Appreciate this so much for taking this hour with us. A couple of other very final things. Don't forget to visit davidvance.net, where you'll find all our work. Jed mentioned it at the beginning. You see it at the top. If you go there, you'll find all the podcasts that come out, all the articles that we put out, not just by me, but by other people as well. And of course, if you enjoy the work that we do and you want to support us, then please consider this particular time of the year making a donation via Buy Me a Coffee or Donor Box. The links are over on davidvance.net, and at least that helps defray the cost of doing all of this stuff. We are one of, I think, the most active channels around. So if you're able to do that, that would be great. We will be back with our podcast live stream tomorrow night, which I think, Jed, we can get across to, is it Getter and Twitter.
Getter and Twitter, yeah.
I'm gonna try it anyway. Yeah.
Once we get, particularly Twitter, I know we had a few sound issues last week. Once we get that ironed out, I will try and expand it over to Rumble and what have you. But one step at a time. I've only got one small laptop, and it's on fire. I tell you, there is one thing that's on fire, and it's my laptop, David. It's working its hardest to produce everything for you guys. So
I know exactly. So Ged, listen. So I want to thank everyone again. See you tomorrow night, 8:00 UK time, for more chat on different topics. So make sure you join if you can join in. And I'm gonna say bye bye, and Jed's gonna play out on a funny for you all to go off into the night with a bit of a laugh. Cue funny.
I need you to blow into this breathalyzer. And I said, well, here's the bad news, Hoss. I'm not going to do it. I'm not, and I'll tell you why. Because if that piece of shit's calibrated wrong, I could be convicted of something I didn't even do. He goes, that I need you to do a field sobriety test. I'm like, just tell me what you want me to do. He goes, I want you to stand on one foot, raise the other foot. No bullshit, fuck that. I'm not doing that either. I'm not, and I'll tell you why. That's not a sobriety test. That's an agility test, and I'm not very goddamn agile, all right? I'm not, and it's not fair to me because I'm older. I'm not in that great a shape. I may or may not be a little drunk. Fuck, I don't know. You know what a fair drunk driving test is? Drunk driving, get in the car. Let's do a couple of blocks. Let me show you some skills. I'm not a 21-year-old puking cheap tequila through my nose. I'm a